So I made the video saying that they were going to amend New York State. They're going to amend the Assembly Bill A27371A, right? And this is the bill that relates to exemptions from vaccinations due to religious beliefs. And it is trying to repeal that, right? So they're trying to force vaccinations on our children. They're trying to give you no way out. I went into, more explanation about this on my previous video. So what is going on? I'm trying to figure it out. So I ain't no political science major, okay? I don't really understand all this stuff. But I'm gonna do my best, okay? Like I got questions and I'm gonna answer the questions as best as I can. And if anybody else has better answers, let me know. But I do know that I feel we need to really watch what's going on. And it looks like whatever happened on the 20th is not set in stone. Like there's a way that we could do something about this. We could at least, I don't know what it is, but we could do something about this. So let's just get started with what I found. Okay, so the first thing I did was search for the bill, A02371. And this is what came up, this thing called Bill Track. So this was introduced January 22nd, 2019. And now it says that it's in committee, right? It says that it is currently in committee, right? So before we get to the in committee part, look at all of these sponsors. Aren't you interested to see who these sponsors are, what they look like, who they look like? Let's take a look. Now, what I did was I pulled all of the names of the sponsors of the bill. But initially, the first faces I want you to see are the faces that look like us. Now, I'm not accusing all of these people of knowing what they're doing, but these are the people that look like us that want to force poison into your children, whether knowingly or unknowingly, okay? And so let's go back to the beginning here, okay? The first one, Diana Richardson, Vivian Cook, Walter Mosley, Al Taylor, Michelle Titus, Karen Reyes. Now Reyes, you never know. I don't know if she considers herself to be Afro Hispanic or white Hispanic. Who knows? Her hair is very curly though. But so I put her last. And this is everyone else. All these people. Okay, now that you've seen the culprits, my next question was, what does in committee even mean? Conference committees. Sometimes the Senate and Assembly pass similar bills, but cannot easily reconcile the differences between them in a reasonable time frame. In such cases, a procedural device called a conference committee can be used to iron out the differences. The Senate Majority Leader and Assembly Speaker each appoint 5 members from their respective houses to serve on this committee. After agreement is reached, a bill is printed and processed like any other bill. Okay, so then I did some more research, and then I came across this, right? And this talks about what was done on the 20th. It said on the 20th, they amend and recommit to health, right? And they print number 2371A. Now, we just read that after they come to an agreement that they come to print. I don't know if that and this print number means the same thing, because it also says that there are no votes for this bill in legislative session, okay? So that's just very interesting to me. But since we have the exact bill here, why don't I take the time and read to you what they're trying to do, okay? Title of bill: An act to amend the public health law in relation to exemptions from vaccinations due to religious beliefs, to repeal the section of the public health law relating to exemptions from vaccination due to religious beliefs, and providing the repeal of certain provisions. Purpose: this bill would repeal all non-medical exemptions from vaccination requirements from children, meaning that nobody can get you out. You can't use medical, except for a doctor. And we already had a conversation about how there's not a doctor on this planet that's going to give you an exemption for. Why? Because it's not in their best interest to do so. Okay? They're getting wooed by the pharmaceutical companies, and they're all in bed together, whether they know it or not. Okay? Justification: existing New York state law requires all children in New York to receive certain immunizations for, now bear with me on these, poliomyelitis, mumps, measles, diphtheria, rubella, HIV as in boy, hepatitis B, and varicella, which is the chicken pox, I believe. They always, why? I don't understand why they call it this weird name. It's chicken pox. The law provides an exemption from the immunizations requirements where a physician certifies, where I already told you that ain't happening, that the immunizations may be detrimental to a child's health. According to the Centers for Disease Control, sustaining a high vaccination rate among school children is vital to the prevention of disease outbreaks, including reestablishment of diseases that have been largely eradicated in the United States, such as the measles. So they use that bullshit with the measles. And just think about in history, did people really die like that from measles? Like, they're giving children chickenpox vaccinations. That's what varicella is, or varicella, however you say that. It's a chickenpox vaccine. Don't you remember being a kid and your parents taking you over to your friend's house that had the chickenpox, putting you and all your siblings together so they could all get it at one time? Why do I need a vaccination for this all of a sudden? We had chickenpox parties. I remember being out of school for the chickenpox, thinking it was great, but I was itching like crazy. It was not great. It was hell. But it's just itchiness. Why are you forcing me to put this into my child if I don't want to? It's just the chickenpox. Just questions I'll be asking, okay? How? According to state data from 2013 to 2014, there are at least 285 schools in New York with an immunization rate below 85%, including 170 schools below 70%, far below the CDC's goal of at least 90% vaccination. Why is that their goal? They don't care about us any other time. Why would they care about our child getting chickenpox and the measles and the mumps? Why would they care? Why is it their goal in life? In the CDC, that is their goal. It's to get to 95%. Just think about why. So just for shits and giggles, can you die from the measles? Now, this is from the CDC now. Some people may suffer severe complications such as pneumonia, infection of the lungs, and I can't pronounce that, swelling of the brain. They may need to be hospitalized and could die. As many of 1 out of 20 children with measles gets pneumonia, and the most common cause of death from the measles in young children. Interesting, interesting. The death rate in the 1920s was around 30% for measles pneumonia, and about 1 out of every 1,000 measles cases that progress to the acute brain swelling, which often results in permanent brain damage. 1 or 2 out of every 1,000 children who become infected with measles will die from respiratory and neurological complications. So I just want you to keep this in perspective. Let's move on. Okay, let's break this down. Now, this is the New York Times. Measles outbreak infects 695, highest number since the year 2000. Okay. This was written on April 24th, 2019. The number of measles cases in the United States has risen to 695. Now, they keep saying that this is the highest number, but we just saw the statistics. 1 in 1,000 could possibly pass away, could develop the brain swelling disease and pass away. 1 or 2 in 1,000 could possibly get pneumonia and pass away. So we're not even at 1,000. Oh, let's break it down even further. Okay, they said 695 cases in all of the United States. There are 327 million people in the United States, and we're talking about 695 people. This is not an outbreak. So now that I went off on a whole tangent, what's an amendment? Floor amendments. Once a bill has been introduced, reported out by a committee, and is on the calendar for consideration by the full Senate, it can still be amended. The sponsor of the bill, for example, can submit the changes to the Bill Drafting Commission. The bill, now in its amended form, retains its original number, but amended versions are denoted by a letter suffix A, B, C, D, and so on for each time the bill is altered. However, beyond this, any senator may amend a given bill by offering amendments to it on the Senate floor. And even if he or she is not one of the bill's sponsors, this method allows all members access to a bill's language, opening it to suggestions and opinions of members who may like the essential ideas of the bill but disagree with the sponsor on one or more of the legislation's details. Moreover, since the amendments are offered in open session, all members can ask questions and discuss the merits of the proposed amendments. So after reading that, this is my deduction. See here, 1/22/2019, this did not have an A at the end of it, right? And that thing said it was a suffix, which means at the end, right? And now it has an A at the end of it. So I'm assuming that this going to print means that somebody has introduced another version of this. Come on now. I really did just work this out in my head, okay? So in conclusion of my investigation, it looks like it's not over yet. There's still things that we could do. You guys could call your people, senators, council people, assembly people, and let them know you're not with this, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I gave y'all multiple explanations on why this doesn't make sense. And the ultimate question that I always have about vaccinations is this. If vaccinations work and I don't get my child vaccinated, how can my child hurt your child? Your child's vaccinated already, right? Your child's safe. That's the whole point of getting the vaccination. The whole point of getting the vaccinations is to make sure that you don't get the measles, the mumps, rubella, polio, varicella, chickenpox, all these things, right? So if the vaccination does not stop me from getting this, because clearly it does not protect me from other people's children who are not vaccinated, right? So what is the point of me getting this? Until somebody can answer that question for me, logically, I don't see why you forcing me to do this. I don't see. I don't see. And can't nobody give me a logical explanation. And even if you gave me one, if I don't want to do it, I have the right to not want to do it. And that's the whole point. So call everybody, do what y'all need to do, make sure. And I'm going to keep looking at it every once in a while and see what I can find out in my investigations, my little Google investigations.